Jax's revenge domain. The micrometer reading was off by 0.003 inches when Diana Hawthorne walked into our conference room and destroyed my career. I was checking the calibration on my precision tools, like I always do when something feels wrong with the system. Turns out my instincts were right. My name is Wyatt Morrison. I'm 47 years old, and I'd been Senior Quality Assurance Director at Apex Manufacturing Solutions for 5 years. 5 years of perfect performance reviews. 5 years of reducing defect rates from 12% to 1.6%. 5 years of saving this company millions in rework costs and keeping our biggest clients happy. 5 years of building something I thought would matter. That Tuesday morning started like any other. Coffee at 6:30 a.m., review of overnight production reports by 700s, and quality inspection rounds before the senior staff meeting at 900. Everything running within specifications, just like I liked it. I was in conference room B with the entire senior staff, waiting for Charles Hawthorne to announce the new VP of Quality position. The role came with a $30 million budget and oversight of all our manufacturing quality protocols across 3 facilities. Based on the metrics, based on performance data, based on everything that should matter in a properly functioning organization, that job was mine. The promotion had been months in the making. Charles had pulled me aside back in January, right after we'd closed out the most successful quality year in company history. Wyatt, I want you to start thinking bigger picture. VP level, you've earned it. I'd been thinking bigger picture ever since. Late nights reviewing budget projections, strategic planning sessions with department heads, client relationship management that went way beyond my current job description. I'd even started shopping for a house in the better part of town, something with a garage workshop where I could keep my personal tool collection properly organized. Charles stood up at the head of the table, cleared his throat, and started his speech. He was wearing his good suit, the navy one he saved for board meetings and important announcements. After careful consideration of our quality improvement initiatives and the remarkable 87% reduction in defect rates over the past 5 years, I'm pleased to announce that our new VP of Quality will be. That's when the door opened. Diana Hawthorne walked in wearing her usual expression of someone who'd never worked a day in manufacturing but somehow knew better than everyone who had. She was dressed like she was attending a country club luncheon, not a business meeting in a facility that made precision components for the aerospace industry. Her heels clicked against the polished concrete floor with the confidence of someone who'd never had to worry about whether her decisions would cost other people their jobs. She held up one perfectly manicured hand, the kind that had never handled a piece of raw steel or operated a precision measuring instrument. "Stop," she said. "That position is for my son." The room went quiet. Not the good kind of quiet you get when machinery is running within specifications. The bad kind, the kind that happens right before something expensive breaks. The kind I'd heard 28 years ago when my father got the call that his plant was shutting down. I kept adjusting my micrometer. Click, click. The mechanism was smooth, precise. Unlike this conversation, Charles looked confused, like someone had just handed him a blueprint with measurements that didn't add up. "Diana, we discussed this. The promotion goes to the most qualified candidate based on performance metrics." Preston graduated summa cum laude from Northwestern with an engineering degree, Diana said, her voice carrying the authority of someone who'd never had to justify a quality decision to a client whose components might end up in a fighter jet. "He's more than qualified." I glanced across the table at Preston Hawthorne, 29 years old. Good kid, actually. Polite, asked thoughtful questions, showed up on time. Smart on paper, really smart, but he'd spent exactly 18 months in our quality department, mostly observing and taking notes. His idea of hands-on experience was reading technical manuals and attending webinars on statistical process control. "Preston certainly has potential," Charles said carefully, "the way you talk when you're trying to prevent a system failure without alarming the operators. But Wyatt's track record speaks for itself. The Pierce manufacturing contract specifically requests his oversight on all quality protocols." Deanna's smile had the warmth of a failed heat treatment process. "I'm sure Howard Pierce will understand that we're promoting fresh talent. Preston will bring new perspectives to quality management, innovation, modern approaches." I felt the familiar pressure behind my eyes that always hit when I encountered a system operating outside acceptable parameters. My father's plant had closed when I was 19 quality failures, shortcuts taken by management who thought they knew better than the people actually running the processes. Management who confused theoretical knowledge with practical experience. 400 jobs gone because someone decided that MBA thinking was more valuable than 20 years of hands-on expertise. The pressure built until I could hear my heartbeat in my ears, a steady rhythm like a machine running just slightly out of tolerance. But this wasn't 1998. This was now, and I was a professional. I'd spent nearly 3 decades building a reputation based on precision, reliability, and keeping my mouth shut when management made questionable decisions. That reputation was worth more than any momentary satisfaction I might get from speaking my mind. I stood up, still holding my micrometer. The weight of it felt reassuring in my hand, like an anchor to something solid and measurable in a conversation that had gone completely off the rails. "Congratulations, Preston," I said, making sure my voice carried the right tone of professional courtesy. "I'm sure you'll do great work in the position." Preston looked uncomfortable. His face had the expression of someone who'd just been handed responsibility for a machine he'd only seen in textbooks. "Wyatt, maybe we could discuss a co-management structure?" "Or no need," I said. "You're the VP now. The position is yours." Diana beamed like someone who'd just solved a complex engineering problem with a crayon. Charles looked like a man watching his best machine head for catastrophic failure but couldn't figure out how to prevent it. I shook Preston's hand. Firm grip, steady eye contact, professional standards maintained even when the system around me was collapsing. The meeting ended with Diana explaining her vision for modernizing our quality approach and Preston nodding along while trying not to look at me. She used phrases like paradigm shifts and disruptive methodologies that sounded impressive but meant absolutely nothing in the context of manufacturing precision components for military aircraft. I gathered my tools and headed back to my office, passing the production floor where third shift was wrapping up. The machines hummed with the familiar rhythm of properly maintained equipment. Workers moved with the efficiency that comes from knowing exactly what they're doing and why it matters. Everything looked normal, but I could already feel the subtle vibrations that indicated something fundamental had shifted. Lisa Rodriguez from HR was waiting for me when I got to my desk. She had that carefully neutral expression people wear when they're about to deliver news they know you won't like. "Wyatt, I know this morning's announcement was unexpected. Charles wants to make sure you understand that your role remains vital to the company's success." I set my micrometer case on my desk and opened it. Every tool in perfect condition, properly calibrated, ready for precise work. Each one had a specific purpose, a tolerance range, a function that couldn't be performed by good intentions or impressive credentials. "What exactly is my role now, Lisa?" "Senior Quality Advisor reporting to Preston. Your experience will be invaluable in helping him transition into the VP position." The pressure behind my eyes increased. I picked up a dial caliper and checked its 0 point. Perfect alignment, like it had been every day for the past 5 years. "I see," I said, "so I train my replacement while he gets the salary, the budget, and the credit." Lisa shifted in her chair. "Charles hopes you'll see this as a mentoring opportunity. Your knowledge is irreplaceable. Irreplaceable knowledge, replaceable person. The logic of modern corporate management. I'll need to review the new organizational structure with Preston," I said. "When can we schedule that?" "He's available this afternoon. 2 p.m. in his office, Preston's office. Yesterday, it had been a storage room for quality documentation. Today, it was the VP's workspace, complete with a nameplate that still smelled like fresh engraving. I spent the morning doing what I always did, checking tolerances, reviewing inspection reports, and maintaining the systems that kept our defect rates below 2%. The work felt different now, like performing maintenance on a machine you know is about to be scrapped. At 2 p.m., I knocked on Preston's door. He'd arranged the office like a college dorm room trying to look professional. Engineering textbooks lined up on shelves, framed diploma prominent on the wall, coffee mug that read "World's Best Engineer" sitting next to a laptop covered in corporate motivational stickers. "Wyatt, come in. Please have a seat." Preston gestured to a chair across from his desk. "I want you to know how much I value your expertise." I sat down and pulled out a notebook. "What would you like to know?" "Everything. I mean, I understand the theoretical foundations of quality assurance, but I want to learn how you've implemented them here." Over the next 2 hours, I explained our quality systems in detail, how we tracked defect patterns across different production runs, why certain tolerances mattered more than others depending on the final application, which suppliers required extra scrutiny, and which ones had earned our trust through consistent performance. Preston took notes on his laptop, asked intelligent questions, and demonstrated that he'd actually absorbed most of the training materials he'd been given. Smart kid, just not experienced. The problem started becoming apparent during our client review preparations. Preston had scheduled meetings with all our major accounts to introduce himself as the new VP of Quality. Professional courtesy calls, he called them. "I've prepared presentations for each client," he told me the following Monday, customized approaches based on their specific requirements. He showed me the PowerPoint slides he'd created. Impressive graphics, compelling data visualizations, buzzwords arranged in ways that sounded authoritative. Everything a recent MBA graduate would think clients wanted to see. Preston, these look very professional, but Howard Pierce doesn't care about presentations. He wants to know if you can catch a 0.002-inch dimensional deviation before it reaches his facility. That's why we have measurement protocols and inspection procedures, Preston said. Statistical sampling ensures quality consistency across production runs. What happens when the statistics lie? He looked confused. Statistics don't lie. That's the point of statistical analysis. I opened my desk drawer and pulled out a steel component that had been sitting there for 3 months, set it on his desk. This part passed every statistical check in our system: dimensional inspection, material certification, surface finish analysis. Everything looked perfect on paper. Preston picked up the component and examined it. It looks fine to me. Feel the surface texture near the mounting holes. He ran his fingers across the metal, maybe slightly rougher than expected. That roughness indicates a tool wear pattern that develops after about 500 hours of continuous operation. When our cutting tools start wearing out, they leave microscopic surface irregularities that don't show up on standard inspection equipment, but they create stress concentration points that can lead to fatigue failures after 10,000 operating cycles. Preston stared at the part. How did you know to check for that? Because 15 years ago, I saw what happens when components fail at 9,800 cycles instead of the rated 50,000. Howard Pierce's engineers had to redesign an entire wing assembly, but our inspection procedures should catch tool wear issues. Should, but they don't. That's why quality assurance requires more than procedures. That afternoon, Preston called me into his office again. This time he looked less confident. Wyatt, I'm starting to understand that this job is more complicated than I initially thought. Most jobs are, I need to ask you something, and I want a completely honest answer. I waited. Am I qualified for this position? I looked at him sitting behind his desk, surrounded by his books and certificates and good intentions. 29 years old, impressive academic credentials, obvious intelligence, and absolutely no idea what he'd gotten himself into. Preston, you're qualified to learn this job. Whether you'll have time to learn it before something goes wrong is a different question. What do you mean? Howard Pierce is coming in next week for the quarterly review. He's going to ask you technical questions about processes you've never seen and problems you've never solved. If you give him textbook answers, he's going to notice. Preston's face went pale. What should I do? Be honest about what you know and what you don't know. Ask me to handle the technical discussions. Let your expertise shine in areas where you actually have expertise. But I'm supposed to be the VP. I can't admit ignorance in front of our biggest client. Preston, ignorance is fixable. Pretending to know something you don't know will get people killed. He stared at me for a long moment. You really think I'm not ready for this? I think you could be ready for this. Eventually, with the right experience and the right mentorship. But your mother just put you in charge of quality systems that affect aircraft safety, and experience isn't something you can download from a textbook. The Howard Pierce meeting was scheduled for Thursday at 10 a.m. By Wednesday night, Preston was in full panic mode. I was running final calibration checks on a batch of new measurement equipment when he found me in the metrology lab. His shirt was wrinkled, his tie loosened, and he had the look of someone who'd been staring at technical manuals for too long without understanding what he was reading. Wyatt, I need help. Real help. I set down my surface roughness tester and looked at him. What kind of help? Howard Pierce's team sent over a technical questionnaire. 47 questions about our quality protocols, failure analysis procedures, and corrective action methodologies. He held up a stack of papers. I understand maybe half of these. I took the questionnaire and flipped through it. Standard stuff, mostly. The kind of questions any experienced quality manager should be able to answer without breaking a sweat. But several of them required specific knowledge about our processes, our equipment, and our history with Pierce Manufacturing. Question 23, Preston said. They want to know about our approach to preventing galvanic corrosion in mixed metal assemblies. I know what galvanic corrosion is, but I have no idea how we prevent it. Specialized coating processes and material isolation protocols, I said. We developed them after a batch of titanium aluminum components failed stress testing in 2019. Question 31 asks about our response to the 2021 dimensional stability issue with the Mark 7th wing brackets. Heat treatment modification and enhanced incoming inspection procedures took us 6 months to identify the root cause. Preston sat down heavily in a lab chair. I don't know any of this. How could I? I wasn't even working here when most of these problems occurred. That's exactly the point, Preston. Experience isn't something you can acquire overnight, but I'm the VP now. I'm supposed to know these things. I continued calibrating my equipment while he wrestled with the reality of his situation. The surface roughness tester needed to be checked against 3 different standard reference blocks. Each measurement had to fall within a tolerance band of 0.5 microinches. Precision work that couldn't be rushed or faked. Preston, you want my advice? Yes. Tell Howard the truth. You're new to the position, you're learning the systems, and you have access to the institutional knowledge needed to address any concerns he might have. That makes me sound incompetent. No, it makes you sound honest. Howard Pierce has been in this business for 35 years. He can spot someone trying to bluff their way through a technical conversation from across the room. Preston was quiet for a while, watching me work. The lab was peaceful at night, just the hum of climate control systems, maintaining temperature and humidity within specifications. This was where the real work happened, away from conference rooms and PowerPoint presentations. Wyatt, can I ask you something personal? Sure. Do you resent me? For getting this promotion? I finished the calibration sequence and recorded the results, all measurements within tolerance. I resent the process, Preston, not you. What's the difference? You didn't ask for this job. You didn't campaign for it or undermine anyone to get it. Your mother decided you should have it, and now you're stuck trying to live up to expectations that nobody bothered to verify were realistic. So you don't think I can do it. I think you could learn to do it, given enough time and proper mentorship, but time is the one thing we don't have. Thursday morning arrived with the kind of crisp autumn weather that made you appreciate precision machinery and well-maintained equipment. Everything looked sharp, clean, purposeful. Howard Pierce showed up at 9:45 a.m. with his usual entourage. 2 engineers, a quality specialist, and his procurement director, all of them carrying notebooks, tablets, and the kind of measured expressions that meant business. The meeting started in conference room A, the one with the good lighting and the view of the production floor. Preston had prepared a formal presentation about our quality improvement initiatives and future strategic planning, professional slides, corporate-approved messaging, everything designed to inspire confidence in our organizational capabilities. Howard listened politely for about 15 minutes before interrupting. Son, this is all very impressive, but I've got some specific questions about your operations. He pulled out the technical questionnaire. Let's start with something simple. Last month you had a batch of titanium components that were 0.002 inches out of spec. My engineers caught it during incoming inspection. How did that happen? Preston looked at his notes. Our quality management system incorporates multiple checkpoints designed to identify any deviations from specified parameters through statistical process control methodologies. Howard glanced at me, then back at Preston. That didn't answer my question. I want to know how components that were out of tolerance made it past your final inspection. Well, our inspection protocols follow industry best practices for dimensional verification. Mr. Hawthorne, I'm not asking about your protocols. I'm asking about what went wrong with this specific batch. The room got quiet. Preston shuffled through his papers like he might find the answer hidden in his preparation materials. His face was flushing red, and I could see sweat forming on his forehead despite the air conditioning. Perhaps, Preston said carefully, Wyatt could provide more detailed insight into the technical aspects of that particular issue. Howard turned to me. Wyatt, heat treatment furnace ran 18 degrees high during the overnight shift, I said. Temperature sensor had been drifting for 2 weeks, but the drift was gradual enough that our calibration checks didn't catch it. The elevated temperature changed the material properties just enough to affect dimensional stability during machining. How did you identify the root cause? Surface texture analysis and hardness testing. The components felt different when I handled them, slightly harder, different thermal conductivity. Led me to check the furnace logs. Howard nodded. And what corrective action did you implement? Replaced the temperature sensor, modified the calibration schedule to daily checks instead of weekly, and implemented tactile inspection as a supplementary verification method. Tactile inspection, physical handling of components to detect variations that might not show up on measurement equipment. Howard made notes in his notebook. Mr. Hawthorne, are you familiar with these corrective actions? Preston looked like a student who'd been called on to solve a calculus problem he'd never seen before. I've reviewed the documentation, yes. And do you personally perform tactile inspections? I rely on our trained inspection staff for hands-on verification procedures. Howard closed his notebook. Mr. Hawthorne, how many years of manufacturing quality experience do you have? I have an engineering degree from Northwestern and 18 months of departmental experience here at Apex. That's not what I asked. Preston's composure finally cracked. 6 months of actual hands-on quality work. Howard stood up. Gentlemen, I think we need to discuss this situation privately. He looked at Charles. Your conference room available. After Howard and Charles left, Preston slumped in his chair like a machine that had just lost power. I blew it, he said. You were honest, I replied. That's more than most people manage in situations like this. He's going to pull the contract, isn't he? That depends on what Charles tells him. Preston looked at me with the expression of someone who just realized how deep the water was. Wyatt, if Howard pulls the contract, how many people lose their jobs? About 180. That number hit Preston like a failed stress test. 18, 18, 18, 18, 18, 18, 18, 18, 18, 18, 18, 18, 18, 18, 18, 18, 18, 18, 18, 18, 18, 18, 18, 18, 18, 18, 18, 18, 18, 18, 18, 18, 18, 18, 18, 18, 18, 18, 18, 18, 18, 18, 18, 18, 18, 20 minutes later, Charles and Howard returned. Charles looked like he'd aged 5 years during their private conversation. Howard's expression was professionally neutral, the kind of face that doesn't give anything away until the paperwork is signed. Mr. Hawthorne, Howard said to Preston, I appreciate your honesty about your experience level. That took integrity. Thank you, sir. However, Pierce Manufacturing requires quality oversight from someone with demonstrated expertise in aerospace component manufacturing. We can't afford to use our production runs as training exercises. Preston nodded. I understand completely. Howard turned to me. Wyatt, if you were still in charge of quality operations, would you be confident signing off on our component specifications? Absolutely. And you're comfortable with the current state of your quality systems, with proper oversight and experienced decision-making? Yes. Howard made more notes. Charles, I'm going to be direct. We need Wyatt managing quality on our contracts, or we'll need to find another supplier. Charles cleared his throat. Howard, I understand your concerns. What if we restructured the reporting relationship, made Wyatt the acting quality director for Pierce Manufacturing projects? That could work, Howard said, but I want formal documentation that Wyatt has final authority on all quality decisions affecting our contracts. After Howard left, Charles asked me to stay behind. Preston excused himself, probably to update his resume and start planning his exit strategy. Wyatt, I need to ask you something, and I need a straight answer. Go ahead. Are you planning to quit? I've been waiting for this question for 3 weeks. That depends. On what? On whether you're serious about fixing this situation or just trying to patch it until Howard stops paying attention. Charles sat down across from me. What do you want? I want a company that promotes people based on competence instead of family connections. I want quality decisions made by people who understand the consequences of those decisions. I want to know that when I sign off on a component, management supports that decision even if it costs money or delays shipments, and if I can guarantee those things, then maybe we can work together. But Charles, if Diana interferes with quality operations again, I'm gone. No discussion, no negotiation. Gone. Charles nodded slowly. I'll talk to Diana. You'll do more than talk to her. You'll make it clear that quality operations are off limits to management interference. Period. Over the next week, I watched Charles try to manage his family dynamics while keeping the company functional. Diana was furious about being overruled. Preston was relieved to be reassigned to business development, where his MBA training actually mattered. The production staff was happy to have clear leadership again, but I'd already made my decision. I'd spent 3 weeks watching a competent organization nearly self-destruct because someone confused authority with expertise. I'd seen what happened when good people were put in impossible situations by bad management decisions. I'd been reminded that experience and loyalty were considered less valuable than family connections and impressive credentials. Most importantly, I'd realized that my reputation and my relationships in the industry were more valuable than any corporate position. The following Friday, I cleaned out my desk and submitted my resignation letter. 2 pages of professionally worded text that boiled down to one simple message. I quit. Charles tried to talk me out of it. Wyatt, we've resolved the Diana situation. You have complete authority over quality operations. Name your salary. Charles, this isn't about money or authority, it's about trust. I trust you completely, but I don't trust the system that created this problem. What happens the next time Diana decides she knows better? What happens when Preston's younger brother graduates college? What happens when some consultant convinces you that experience doesn't matter as much as innovative thinking? He didn't have answers for those questions because we both knew they'd happen eventually. Monday morning, I was having coffee in my kitchen when my phone rang. Howard Pierce, Wyatt, I heard about your resignation. That's unfortunate. Sometimes you have to make difficult decisions, Howard. Indeed you do. Which is why I'm calling. How would you feel about starting your own quality consulting firm? I set down my coffee cup. I'd feel cautiously optimistic. Good. Because I've got 3 contracts that need someone with your expertise. Aerospace work, precision components, the kind of stuff you've been doing for years. What kind of timeline? Immediate. I've already pulled the Pierce Manufacturing contract from Apex. We need a new quality assurance provider by next month. Howard, that's a $500 million contract. Actually, it's grown. We're expanding into military applications. New total value is about 750 million over 5 years. I walked to my garage workshop and looked at my tool collection, precision instruments organized exactly the way I wanted them, ready for whatever project came next. No corporate bureaucracy, no family politics, no management interference. Just me, my tools, and clients who valued expertise. Howard, I think we should meet to discuss details.
Excellent. How about tomorrow?
6 months later, Morrison Quality Solutions employed 15 people, all former Apex staff who decided they preferred working for someone who understood the difference between credentials and competence. We had contracts with 8 aerospace companies and a reputation for solving problems that other quality firms couldn't handle. Charles called me last month. Apex had lost 3 major contracts after my departure. Diana was still making strategic decisions about areas she didn't understand. Preston was doing well in business development but stayed far away from any operational responsibilities. Wyatt, I made a mistake. We all made mistakes. Any chance you'd consider coming back? I was in my new facility, calibrating measurement equipment for a client in Texas who built navigation systems for commercial aircraft. The workshop was quiet except for the sound of properly maintained machinery humming within specifications. Charles, some systems can't be repaired once they've failed catastrophically. You understand, he understood. I hung up and returned to my calibration work. There were components to inspect, standards to maintain, and clients who trusted me to keep their systems running safely. The micrometer reading was perfect, exactly as it should be. Listen, I know some of you have been in situations like this, maybe not exactly like this, but close enough. You've put in the work, earned the respect, built something valuable, only to watch someone hand your position to their kid or their friend or whoever happened to have the right connections. It stings. It makes you question whether competence matters anymore, whether experience counts for anything in a world that seems to value networking over know-how. But here's what I learned. Your expertise belongs to you, not to them. The relationships you've built, the reputation you've earned, the knowledge you've accumulated, that's yours to take wherever you go. Sometimes the best revenge isn't fighting the system. Sometimes it's building a better one.